Coming to you straight from the Rio Grande and beyond. Broadcasting to the four corners of the globe. So grab your seat, your coffee, or your sundowner.
Okay, everybody, here we go.
On point, as always. This is Gloves Off. Gloves Off.
Back at your Gloves Off, and I'm Professor Buitrón. I'm here with Gustavo Valentin Gonzalez, known as Gunny, and he has something to tell us that he's going to be running for mayor, actually, of Laredo 2022.
Correct.
Imagine that, 2022.
Yeah, a few months away. Fast. It goes fast.
Absolutely. It's around the corner. It's not about 100 and some days. You know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, probably from when I transitioned over from trying to run from county commission to, obviously the end result, and then deciding to do this, time flies. It really does. And then especially when you're keeping busy with business, just life in itself, the military. I was about already to hit my 20-year mark already in August, and I was going to call it quits, but I decided to extend. So right now I'm actually going through the enlistment process of another 4 years.
Well, number one, congratulations for doing the service that you've given to our country. But here's a question I'm going to ask. Why mayor, and why do you think Gunny is going to jump in there and say, you know what do we need to fix? What's going on for the city right now?
I think right from what we've seen in the past, there's just a lot of issues with uncertainty and fear of the unknown, and I think we just need to go in there and start looking at what the problems that are within the system, and then start correcting them and fixing them one step at a time, one problem at a time. I know that for the most part, everybody preaches and says, "Hey, we need to change the direction of Laredo. We need to do away with the current administration or the staff that's there," right? And so I do agree to a certain extent on all that, but I also feel that we do need to come together not only as a city but as a community to be able to set forth these changes, because it's not just one man by itself. And so I've been promoting it and preaching it a lot on my social media as well, just telling people like, hey, we really need to focus on the changes and focus on what really needs to happen, and more than anything, just look at the bigger picture. I think right now there's a lot of good qualified candidates for the most part, but I think everybody has a different, unique set of things that they can bring set forth to the table, and then go from there. I told people, and I've met with a couple of the runners already, the candidates, and I just out of goodwill, hey, no bad blood, I'm just here to run just like you are. I know you have your agenda, I have mine, and I want to see what happens. More than anything, I want to see if we actually get the opportunity to go in there and start actually creating some positive change. One of the biggest things that I really felt intrigued by is just with the current situation with Ukraine and Russia. Their own president, the Ukrainian president, is actually out there, on the front lines. And so to me, that is something that I truly admire as a leader, because that is something that I would like to embody as well. I want to be out there for the community. If something happens, I want to be present in that moment, in that matter, and see what needs to happen to get that problem, fixed. And so again, this is me just coming from a business standpoint and maybe perhaps a military standpoint. I believe in all that, and the discipline, the work ethic, that just being successful and driven and disciplined is what's gonna, I feel, take us further down the road than where we're currently at right now.
And you've said some good points that you brought in. Things need to happen was one of them that I want to see in there. We have to take Laredo into a positive direction. It's the second one. And the third is we have to look at the bigger picture. Those are three major points that you just said in there. Number one, what needs to happen to Laredo to change? Where are we right now in your opinion? I can give you mine. Where's Laredo right now, and what needs to happen for Laredo?
Well, I guess for starters, right now, the biggest issue that is still ongoing is still the water boil notices. I have no idea what's going on, where we're at as far as budgets are concerned, and what we're able to spend or not spend. That's the first thing that I want to look at. The second thing that I mentioned earlier was, where are we at here as far as the city departments, who needs to stay, who needs to go, what needs to get changed. And then, of course, the restructuring of everything in itself. I feel that there's always more improvement for quality of life. And then, of course, as a business owner, I'd like to see more businesses come in to continue to thrive, because I think that's the only way we can be more successful. And so just, seeing some of that from other cities like Houston, Dallas, and Austin, and all these areas where there's a lot of opportunity, I think there's also opportunity here. I just don't see the growth like I'd like to, like I would expect, or we would expect by now. And even to then, I've seen also where there's businesses that are coming in from out of town and they fail. And you'd be in shock. I mean, you're talking about big name franchises, and just to name one, Five Guys Burgers. It's like they were here. I thought it was honestly a really good place. I dined in there and out, and I got introduced to it in Austin. It was one of my first competitions when I used to do competitive bodybuilding, and I thought it was awesome. They came here to Laredo. They were here a few years, and then boom, all of a sudden done out. So what happened? Where's the support? So I feel like that, more as a community, we need to come in and also support not only our local businesses, but the exterior businesses for us to be able to continue to grow and thrive. And so I think there's a lot of stuff. I would like to, like I preach and say, just the fact that we don't know what's broken until we're there. And I'd like to get that opportunity to go in there and see what we need to fix, what we need to change, and then just continue to push forward from there. Because that's exactly what my strategy is from here going forward. Is just like, hey, what do we need to fix? What do we need to change? And what needs to happen to make it better? Because if it ain't broken, then I'm not gonna mess with it. But if it is in fact broken, and we need to change it and fix it, or maybe come up with a different strategy or approach for it, then of course, hey, I'm all ears for it. Just need to move forward.
Absolutely. And you said something right there, the water. The water issue's been ongoing for a long time.
Correct.
There's a lot of issues that has happened. There's grants from the state that help all cities and municipalities with their water. And it is my understanding that in the past several years, money that was there was never looked for grants for fixing all the stuff that's being broken now. It was never looked after. So there's a failure in the water department, but there's a failure in that administration. That administration has failed Laredo big time, has really destroyed Laredo. That's my opinion. I'm glad to see that we're going into a mayoral race, because we do need a new mayor. Mm-hmm. And we need to fix what's there. It's not going to happen overnight.
Correct.
This administration has literally destroyed Laredo to the point, that's my opinion, to the point that it's going to take more than 4 years, more than 8 years, probably another decade of people with a good, positive leadership role that understand negotiation and strategy to bring back Laredo to the destruction phase that it has been going on. And some of these individuals that are around live in a bubble that think that nothing is happening. You have a project now that's called the International Bridge or Park or something to that effect. I call it the Cartel Park, which is apparently going to have bike lanes and bike trails to Mexico and back and forth. And they want it just to be a communal thing of kumbaya. Everybody can go down there and smoke a peace pipe. But we already know what our neighbors do in Mexico. And as a security standpoint, I think that's the most dangerous thing that can even happen. You want to have parks and bike lanes and what have you near the river, do so. But we should not be spending, $100 million and something like that when we do not even have our pipes and our infrastructure for our basic needs done.
Correct.
That's the most stupidest thing I've ever heard of. Mm-hmm. It's very destructive. Laredo in whole is a beautiful community. It's a resilient people. It's people that are very passive and have been taking so much that you start seeing now what they're saying on social media. And people are no longer happy with the situation that we're in.
Right.
So I think our good mayor is great. We need one. We need somebody that's going to go in there and balance out the whole entity that's there, because right now there's factions in there that are fighting against each other, and everybody keeps crying about corruption, but nobody has pinpointed a corruption anyway.
Right.
It's just all, he stuck the tongue out at me, he didn't open the door for me, kind of little things in there. He didn't say hi to me in HEB, so I'm going to go after, those kid games that continue, which should not be in that. The government has turned very Machiavellian, gone after small businesses, especially those businesses that do not support a certain candidate. It is sad to see. We all know that there's a price on, if you want to buy a city council position, it's about $300,000, and people will vote you in. We already saw that in the last election. We see the results of that, and we don't need that. What we need now is people that are, especially for mayor.
Correct.
Because remember, what you're leading this charge, and you're the one that's going to be ultimate responsible for it.
Correct.
And besides that, we do need businesses to come in. I like the Five Guys bird, and I'm an executive chef by trade. I've had restaurants before, but COVID did a lot of damage to many restaurants, and many entrepreneurs that were just starting got killed from them.
Correct.
So now we're in post-COVID. What are we going to do about it? The mall still has 30-something empty spaces. You look around you, every shopping center has a for lease sign or a business that says out of business. What are we going to do about that? Because we're not helping anybody. They said they were. Said they were going to give grants. Again, what happened to that? They said they were going to help small businesses. I've yet to see that. So the trust in our local government is not around anymore. It's been lost. The police have lost their trust, and more so now with Uvalde. So I'll end this with that. How is Gunny going to go inside and say, you know what, let's bring trust back to the people?
I like I mentioned, we got to look at the current leadership that's in there, and to see if they're even qualified, and if they have what it takes to be able to lead the charge and whatnot. Because perfect example, and it's just already leaking on the news. The cops of Uvalde were there in the school, in the building, by the hallway, and waited about 40 minutes, if anything?
90 minutes.
90 minutes, something like that, before they even decided to execute. Granted that they had the firepower, they had the protection, they had, everything. So I'm concerned, generally curious to see what is their response, what is the outcome from that, right?
You saw it.
Yeah.
Dead children. That's what the result was of that.
So, I don't know. I've, at least from my perspective, being 20 years already in the Marine Corps, being an infantryman, I'm already used to learning how to respond to stress, and I'm proactive. I'm not going to run away. I'm going to run in. You know what I mean? And so, it's tough,
Listen, excuse me for interrupting, but it took a Border Patrol agent that was getting his hair cut to borrow a shotgun to go in there and take care of business.
Yeah.
Listen, do we need our police force to be that militarized? I say no. Let's spend money on teaching them correct negotiation skills, better skills. You know who the best police are in the world? The Bobbies from England. The ones that sit out there, they just have a whistle and a nightstick. They don't even have a gun. And they go out there and they take care of business. If they have to get into an entanglement, they get into an entanglement because they have correct training, martial skills. They have correct usage of a baton. They have correct respect to the civilians.
Correct.
Here we got police station departments that have tank-like vehicles. Everybody swatted off. You have 50 calibers on top of that. and they're going to go in there and do what? What are they going to do with that? Understand what I'm saying? That's, and I hate to say this, but I'm for literally defunding them, giving them their nightstick and a 38 and go out there and take care of business. Start walking the beat. Because what I've saw from the police during COVID here in Laredo and how they acted towards the people, how they act towards parents trying to file an interference with child custody, which is a 2503, it's ridiculous. And there is some good officers out there, but what Uvalde did, if that is a mirror of the departments throughout Texas, we're in a bad situation.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, and I agree. Me personally, and it's funny, I just had this conversation with a high school girl. You know, she has one of my trainers. She's like, yeah, I just graduated high school. Yeah, I have friends wanting to join the military, but they don't like being told what to do. They don't like taking orders. So I'm like, where are we going to end if we're not, you know, getting some form of discipline or having some form of structure? You know, when you join the military, you know exactly what you're going to go in there for, and there's expectations and there's standards, and we have to uphold those standards. And so, again, if it was up to me, I'd have everybody join the military at least 2 years, like they do it in Israel. You know, there's certain
they do it in France.
Yeah.
Too. Yeah.
They make them join the military, and I can tell you, for the most part, most of the people that I've seen join the military, very well off and disciplined and very well structured. And I mean, what can I say? I'm not perfect, but you know, I do have a very high standard for myself, and one, how to, you know, take care of myself, my, you know, as far as military appearance, physical appearance, you know, my business, knowing my numbers, knowing my strategies, and that's what I'm all about. I'm all about, you know, numbers and strategies, because again, why even be in business if you don't know, you know, your numbers or have a plan on how to continue to sustain, you know, become resourceful and whatnot. And so
Absolutely.
that's what it is, you know, that's what it comes down to.
You know, I see it here with the kids over the past 30 years, or the past 3 decades, in teaching so many people come through in here. Before, I used to see kids that would shake your hand when they were coming in, 8-year-olds, 10-year-olds. Now you see that out of every 15 kids that comes into the door.
Yeah.
You know, I was taught by tough guys. You know, my uncle taught boxing. He was very clean. He was very well respected. He was, you know, street guy, and you know, he told you to open the doors for your cousins, the female ones, for your grandma and everything else, and that type of respect. And I saw it within Savant, within the professors of Savant, within those people that were around there. It was kind of a streetwise savvy or a gentleman. You know what I'm saying?
Correct.
And you don't have that. You don't have that anymore. You know, you have kids coming in here sporting a tattoo.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? You're like, really?
Yes. No, I totally understand it.
Where's the discipline? Let's get back into this.
Yeah.
And
I personally, and I agree on everything, because I'm personally old school. I remind myself consistently, hey, go back to your training regimen, go back to your grassroots. What are your grassroots? Hey, be polite, be a gentleman, be this, be that, do all these things the way they're supposed to be done, because again, they're gonna show that respect. They're gonna show that there's politeness and there's manners out there. And it's honestly, it's true. Like I'm seeing it now more often than usual, and it's crazy because where are these morals at now? You know, and I think that it all trickles down onto all the situations that are currently happening within the country and the state. You know, but I mean, I think we have a very long ways to go from this, but I think at some point, again, with the right structure or the right people in place, that's where we can definitely start, you know, implementing and going back to those structures and those changes. Again, to me, I call those grassroots.
Absolutely. So back to the basics. Let's go back to the foundations of what society was. And, you know, I remember growing up, and I remember going to high school, and we used to go to, you know, went to United. There was a couple of pickup trucks that had a shotgun in the back of their truck, you know, hanging there. I saw that. Nobody said anything. There were no mass shootings. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying?
Correct.
And what happened? Everybody here knew how to hunt. There was no mass shootings. What is going on with people now? What is going on? Where have we failed as a society? Is it that, you know, I'm a hunter, as you can see. You know, I'm a Second Amendment, I'm a constitutionalist, if you want to put it that way. The Second Amendment has nothing to do with hunting. Hunting is a right.
Mm-hmm.
It was turned not into a right once the licenses came of age and so on and so forth came of age right after around the 60s. And I don't know the exact date, but that's when they kind of removed it and regulated hunting. But the Second Amendment's not for hunting. The Second Amendment is for a well-regulated militia to go against a tyrannical government, and as well as the rights of the people not to be infringed, and for people to have the right to bear arms. Now, it doesn't tell you anything else about that. Now, I'm for background checks. You know, I have a concealed handgun license. I can go in and buy a gun and pick it out and bring it out. But I really wish they'll have like a 7-day wait or so on and so forth, and check the process.
Right.
Check why is it going on there. You know, where have we failed for that? You know, this kid just graduated high school. We're coming back against, and I hate to forget his name, and I don't want to mention it to give him any more fame. But what occurred in Uvalde, he turned 18, goes buys 2 weapons, buys gear, and buys bulletproof vests, buys that. If you look at all that stuff, and you put it's anywhere above between $6,000 to $10,000 worth of armament that he bought. Nobody got a red flag on it. There were red flags all over the place, but we cannot build a red flag. Just imagine how dangerous it is, like what they're trying to pass. They're passing a law that an unanimous call can deem you a danger to society, and the police will have a court within 24 hours, and they'll be kicking in your door and removing your guns because an unanimous call deemed you a danger to society or to yourself. Imagine that. So that means any fact checker, that means anybody that hates you on social media can just call in. Where are we at? We have become a place of, how can I say, that we idolize whiners. Mm-hmm. And those are the people that our kids are idolizing. They're idolizing whiny people. People that whine, that cry, that, oh, they did that to me. Wait a minute. Who were your idols when you were growing up? Mention one idol.
Steve Prefontaine.
Okay, why?
Well, he was an athlete. He was a very just very physically gifted in what he did in running. And, I think about that all the time because when I grew up as a kid, that's what I aspired to be. I wanted to be that person, and that was something that's still in me. I don't have the capacity or the physical capacity I used to have maybe 20 years ago, but he still comes to mind very frequently because I'm like, man, I love running. This guy was my hero. He ended up getting killed in a car wreck at 21, mm-hmm. Going home drunk. But yeah, that was my childhood, hero.
Absolutely.
As I was growing up.
You know who the childhood heroes are now?
Yeah.
People that are whining and complaining. So those are what our kids are idolizing. Instead of teaching us, we are at fault. And instead of us teaching them to idolize athletes like that, to idolize people, my hero was Rocky Marciano. My hero was Muhammad Ali. My hero was Roberto Duran. Those were the people that knew how to fight. So granted, that's what type of people you want to be. But that's what you're looking forward to. Yeah. And if you go 50 years back, people were idolizing in the 50s and the 60s. Growing up, they were idolizing Audrey Murphy. You know what I'm saying? They were. That's what they wanted to become, and that's a type of individuals that you had. You had a gentleman of society. Now we're idolizing whiny people, making them icons, and our kids are following that, and we are at fault. So we have to go back down to the basics, not only at home, but we kind of took off the subject, but
correct
of what it is. But that's basically what it is. We need good leaders in there.
Mm-hmm.
And if we see a person that is doing a good job as a city councilman, an alderman, a county commissioner, county judge, Texas representative, Texas Senate, and of course senator, let's praise that instead of following the whining individual that wants him out because they did not get their balloon race or what have you. You understand what I'm saying?
Correct.
So, your campaign, has it kicked off yet? Have you started?
So I've been pushing it and promoting it, officially, unofficially on Facebook, word of mouth, whatnot. I know that there's still, space or time to where there's more candidates probably joining in until August 22nd, 23rd.
22nd. I believe the date is 22nd.
Correct. And then, we'll see what happens after that. But ideally, we are going to continue to push forward. Got a lot of projects right now. One of the biggest things that I'm working on right now is, and I haven't told much or haven't really told anybody about it, but I'm working on a book right now.
No, good.
It's just a work on it's a book on business, what I've learned in the last 7 years. Hopefully I have it done by August, September timeframe, and it's off and running. But I think that is definitely going to give a lot of people the insight of how I work as an individual, my thoughts and my ideas, and it's literally going to be open to the public. And so I hope people pick it up and just read it, just so they can at least get to know who I am, other than just hey, Gunny's on social media, or Gunny is just the gym owner, or Gunny the Marine. Like, I want people to see how my mind operates and what I'm here to propose for the future. So I'm excited about that. I'm pushing myself because it's maybe about roughly 16-17 chapters, but it's all broken down into sections, and it's being well thought on and what I want to put on there. The title of the book, it's called Do or Die. Hey, you're gonna do it or you're gonna die trying. So
that's a good title, and I congratulate you on that. And I've written some, and 14 under my seat, but it's all about Savat and the gift of whatnot about the discipline. Some of them are manual, some of them are books. I got a compendium that's 1,100 pages, but it's stuff to put down because it's for people that are coming in after you, that they can continue seeing and they can take from it and they can continue creating from it.
Correct.
And that's basically what it's for.
Correct. And for me, it's more like the legacy of what I'm leaving behind. Sure. I'd like to at least know that if I pass, 30, 40 years from now, kids, grandkids, great-grandkids, they're going to be able to cross-reference this book and say, hey, look, this is my great-grandfather. This is what he was able to establish or do in his time. All the stuff, I'm very intrigued, ahorita, with all the stuff that's going on, too, because if we look at populations, and I'm hoping I'm not trying to, take more time. I don't know, we're trying to spend time or whatnot. But I'm a big, firm believer of what's happening right now and looking set forth at the future, because, we're looking at population density and whatnot. Like, hey, it's already going from 7 to 8 billion, and then there's also concerns about going to the 9, 10, 11 potential 10 billion people around the world. So, obviously, with that, more hunger issues, more pollution, more of this stuff. And so, the evolution of man from how we started from, obviously, ape to where we're at right now, and then he said essentially seeing all the stuff that's happening with artificial intelligence, artificial limbs and all that stuff. Like, I know we're not going to see this in the next 100 or 200 years, maybe, our future kids, grandkids, or great-grandkids, but it's scary, to say the least, where we're at and where we're headed to. And so it's just crazy, how all these things all these things are happening. But again, those are things that I'm very fascinated for, and it's just, man, I like to think that hopefully we're heading in a good direction, but it's not really looking like that right
and
now.
I'm gonna interject with there's a lot of the brilliant minds, including Elon Musk, says that artificial intelligence is the most dangerous thing that we have.
Correct.
And that's something that can destroy us. So it's growing in leaps and bounds faster than what we went. But we have to be able to regulate that, or else we're going to have some dangers in the future.
Correct.
But other than that, Gunny, we wish you the best. We are going to have some debates.
Correct.
And it's going to be on September 7th. And I think folks are going to enjoy it. It's going to be a sit-down dinner debate that you all can meet the candidates, see the candidates live, and there's going to be a straw poll, because I think those are the polls that really matter.
Correct.
When you're right in front of somebody and they say, you know what, no, yay, nay, hey, and those are the ones that we should take. Because a lot of the polls on social media, you know, they all of a sudden they have all their friends from Venezuela voting for them. You know what I'm saying? So, and then, but that's just the way it is. And other than that, you know, we look forward to seeing all other candidates to come out and say, you know, this is why you should vote for me. And then, of course, people should learn to research each and every candidate that's coming up there. And hey, and you know, right now's the time.
Correct.
Right now's the time, and right now's the time that Laredo can stop where it's at and progress, or just crumble.
Correct.
And that is a very sad part in time that we're in.
Yeah.
Okay, folks, until next time, we're gonna leave you with this. You all be safe, stay safe, and praise God. Next time, peace.
Later, guys.
Today, in America, more than 5.5 million men, women, and children train in a martial art regularly. Buitron Academy has been serving Laredo for over 30 years now. Our adult classes are geared for producing the best in you, teaching you street-ready techniques. With the arts of Savate and Kinpo, you'll learn the traditions of these sciences of combat, as passed down professor to student.
Hello, my name is Jaime Garcia. I started Savate when I was 17 or 18. I'd like to say it was because I was in search of knowledge, but truth be told, I joined Savate because I got my ass kicked in a bar. My mouth was writing checks, my ass couldn't cash, so I figured I should learn how to fight. I was looking through the paper, trying to find someone that I could really learn something from, and I came across Buitron's school. Even though it was on the other side of town for me, I wanted to go someplace where I wasn't going to be wasting my time. So I came by. He was nice enough to take me on as a student, and I started learning. I went all the way up until I think it was white glove, pretty consistently. As a matter of fact, I think I even failed one glove because one year I wasn't prepared enough. I believe it was my green glove. So I had to take my green glove twice, but definitely didn't stop me from coming back, because that was definitely my fault. But I kept coming back year after year, and I loved it. I had to stop when I was about 25, 26. I had to go to school, I had to go off to college, you know. But I never forgot what I learned here, and I promised myself I would always come back. I just had to get some life stuff done. So I went to school. So that definitely not only gave me the confidence to do so many other things in my life, but it also got me out of a lot of trouble that I admittedly got myself into. But definitely one of the most important things I ever learned in my life was how to fight. I finally came back, even though I live in Austin, which is a good 3.5 hours away. I still make the time to come every month to come and learn, because it's one of the best decisions I ever made in my life, one of the best things I ever did. And I believe it gives a person something that the society is very much missing these days, which is a discipline and a drive to go forward, drive to keep doing what you're doing. And I believe in it so much, I'm just waiting for my kids to get old enough to hopefully start doing it themselves. And yeah, best thing I ever did in my life, and I wouldn't change it.
Come train at the best kept secret of Laredo. Give us a call for your free evaluation at 956-401-4868, or check out our website at savate.biz. Follow us on YouTube and Facebook.